my god, guys, I cannot believe what is happening. We just received information that there is a baby rhino on the way from Kruger National Park, and we're now all running. There's a line behind me. We're now all running to the helipad to know what happened.
Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the link to the Get Lost podcast. I'm the host, Joe Sills. Listen, this is a show that's all about exploration. It's about adventure. It's about traveling to new places in your mind. So I hope you'll take a few minutes to really close your eyes, unless you're driving, and listen to the show, enjoy the guests, and leave us a few comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you can so we can keep more episodes coming out to you from around the globe.
Every day, at least 2 rhinos are killed in South Africa. They're shot for their horns, their bodies maimed, left to die with no hope of recovery. More often than not, with a baby left behind. Animal rights activist Margarita Samsonova traveled to South Africa this year on a quest to help save the rhinos. On today's Get Lost podcast, we discover what she found.
Oh my god, guys, I cannot believe what is happening. We just received information that there is a baby rhino on the way from Kruger National Park, and we're now all running. There's a line behind me. We're now all running to the helipad to know what happened.
Three, two, one. Now we're good. Welcome back, everybody, to season 2 of the Get Lost podcast. I'm your host, Joe Sills. I'm a travel writer for National Geographic, Travel Channel, maybe Lonely Planet. We're not sure. We're still waiting on that article to come out. And today I'm here with one of my friends that I haven't seen in a while. She is an animal rights activist. She is also a world traveler and a content creator. Her name is Margarita Samsonova. Margarita, what's up?
Hey, it's so good to be here. Thank you so much for inviting for this amazing intro. And we definitely need to fix that and see each other sometime soon, please.
I know. I think the last time we hung out, we were in a bar in Stockholm, or maybe it was a cab. I can't remember.
Yep.
That was such a weird
this
experience.
weird bar with this like weird mermaid. Do you remember? Like on the wall, some sort of
Oh my God,
hang
yeah.
up mermaid.
That was
That was
super
weird.
weird. That was the same trip we ended up like having dinner in a castle with a countess, which was really weird.
Yeah,
Like,
that was super fun. I love that trip.
yeah, it was cool. We'll have to catch up on it sometime, but for now, I know I've been following you on Instagram at @S_Marga for a while, really, since that trip. And holy crap, dude, you have been everywhere over the last few months.
I try. Thanks.
Where have you been since the summer of 2019?
Okay, well, I don't think I would remember all of it, but my main trips, I went to South Africa for around 3 months, and I did 2 sort of like biggest projects of my year. Both of them like charity based, like volunteer style projects. One with animals and another one about plastic pollution. So that was sort of like the 2 projects that I worked on for the whole year. And it was incredible, amazing, really hard. But overall, super amazing, super amazing.
I think that's crazy. Where can people like see images and read about the work that you did over there?
So on my socials, so Instagram is sort of like my main platform, as you said, S_Marga, MARGA, and also on Facebook is Markventure, MARGVENTRE. Jesus Christ, I'm so bad at spelling. Crazy.
I think you actually are a great follow, and as many people as I meet on travel trips and stuff, which is where a lot of our guests come from, you're actually one of the people that cuts through the bullshit. And Margarita is someone that goes to a place and posts some really like artful, crazy photographs, and there's always a lengthy story behind it, and it explains like why the fuck are you hanging out in like a trash dump wearing a plastic bag? I mean, it's like.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. I try to, like have my socials sort of with the meaning. So I have two focuses of my social media. One is like my biggest passion, which is animal conservation and everything that is related to wildlife, animals, caring, protecting, cuteness of them and stuff like that. And another one, sustainability and environment. So everything around sort of like low waste lifestyle to responsible traveling to kind of like plastic free lifestyle. So I'm like an advocate for all those things. And I try to bring awareness to like different topics that I mentioned through creativity of photography and videos. So as you mentioned, I many times go to like a really polluted beach, or I go to a dumpster and I take creative pictures that, have like a really strong visual message that people then see on social media and they're like, wow, this shit is bad. Like we have to do something about it.
Yeah.
That's sort of like my input.
Well, it's sort of like a few days ago, you were in Tulum in Mexico. And I don't know why you were there, but I know that at one point you took some time away from the resort you were at to kind of beach chrome and pick up trash. And it's crazy, but it's just an experience everyone can relate to, I think, is almost no matter what beach you are on the world, you walk down it and you can find pieces of plastic, bottles, toothbrushes, like all kinds of crazy stuff. And it seems to be the case everywhere on the planet almost.
Yeah, for sure. And, sometimes when we are traveling, I don't know, like Bali or whatever, like it's all over the place, like pictures from Bali. So people think, oh, it's like local people who are dumping all this stuff on the beach and stuff like that. But it's not necessarily the truth. Our trash from London, New York, LA, whatever, still can end up at beaches on the other side of the planet because like recycling is not really a solution. The solution is to reduce the amount of stuff that we use. Otherwise, we're just going to drown in plastic like really freaking soon.
Yeah. When do you think, like, what is the estimate on that? Like too much plastic? Because it's already in the oceans and everything too. Like not just bottles, but microplastics, right?
Yeah. So like the research said that by 2050, there's going to be more plastic than in fish. But then there was like a follow-up research that said that basically with every single day, like this date is coming up sooner and sooner in there. So it's not 2050 anymore. It's like actually sooner now. So it's pretty freaking crazy.
That's a real thing. And we're going to get into the rhinos in just a second. But while we're talking about microplastics, a lot of my listeners are in America and they're in Tennessee. And they say, well, the ocean doesn't touch us. Like, why should we be worried about the ocean? News for you people, the Tennessee River system has been tested positive for microplastics at an alarming rate, like a really, really high rate, one of the highest in the country. And that's where you get all of your power from, your electricity for your homes. It's where you go ski in the summer or just hang out and drink beer on the boat. A lot of you guys, it's where you go fishing. So It's something
Yeah.
that impacts the inland waters as well as the ocean.
Exactly as you said, our river systems are so important, and a lot of people, they just don't realize the connection. So sometimes, like, you want to be good, you kind of know that plastic sucks, like, you want to, you don't want to litter, let's say, on the street, so you put that plastic bottle, whatever, in a trash can, but not necessarily it gonna end up being recycled. Sometimes it can get blown away from the trash can by the wind, go like into the close by river, or even from the landfill, it can also get blown away into the river system, and then further and further into the ocean to the other side. And yeah, in the process, it also degrades into smaller and smaller pieces. And yeah, there's a current research that already showed that pretty much like 90% of the people been consumed microplastic with fish. So if you're eating fish, there is a really, really high chance that you're eating microplastic. So I think they're saying that the size of a credit card a week, that's what we're consuming.
Oh, that's good for your body.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is no research that shows that like consuming that has any more negative effect than just being around it. But it still sucks, it's been tested that just like drinking water from the plastic bottles and just surrounding yourself by plastic, it has a negative effect on your body and your health. There's no research that's saying that consuming it is any worse than that, but I'm still pretty sure that any of that is just horrible. So
is there research that shows that Coca-Cola tastes better from a can than a bottle?
I never heard that, but I also know that Coca-Cola is currently for 2019, so for last year, is number one plastic polluter in the world.
Is that just because of the number of like consumer bottles they have out there, or is it something they're like doing when they make it?
Yeah, it's just everything. So plastic comes from gas, from petrol. So yeah, mining and all of that stuff, producing plastic. Yeah, they're the biggest polluters because of that. Yeah, amounts of plastic that they produce. It's just crazy, and because of how many companies they own as well.
So there you go. Drink Pepsi, not Coke.
Great
right.
Bottom line.
Yeah, bottom line. So, all right, the reason that I wanted to have you on today is to take our listeners on a little bit of a journey. We're going to unpack the plastic bottles and stuff. Nice. Marguerite has a little bit of a cold, so bear with us. We're going to edit most of it out, but there might be some coughs and some sniffs from me, so...
I'm back.
It's what we get for recording in the winter.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna unpack the plastic bottles. We're not gonna think about that. We're gonna take your mind to a different place. And this time, I want you guys to close your eyes and think about Africa, and kind of let your mind wander over the continent and think about the valleys, trees, animals. And when you think about Africa, there's certain animals that come to mind. Lions, giraffes, elephants, gorillas. And there's one other big one that we're going to talk about today, and that's the rhino. This year, Margarita got to spend a lot of time up close and personal with rhinos in Africa. And Margarita, I want you to tell our listeners where you were, how you got there, and what that was like.
So I spent a month of my time volunteering at an organization that is called Care for Wild. And it's an organization that has a mission to save rhinos from extinction. So basically, I was in South Africa in 2018. And I was there doing another volunteering project, working with penguins, actually. But we're not talking about that. Talk about that another time. So during my free time, I just went on a safari. And the day before I got there, they had a poaching incident.
While you
And
were on
because it was
safari, like the day before you went on
Well,
your safari?
yeah, so I arrived the day after they had a poaching incident, and one of the rhinos got shot at the private resort that is, guarded and all of that stuff.
Hmm.
And it's not even that big. So I got there, and obviously because it was like so fresh, everyone was talking about it. Everyone was like really, like upset, because obviously they only had few rhinos there. I think they had 5, so they lost 1. It was like a really, really big deal. And before I got there, like I obviously knew, like I know about sort of like all the conservation project problems in the world, but when you get to experience it, like it almost happens when you're there. Obviously,
Yeah.
you start paying like closer attention to that. So I started talking to the guide about it and about the whole Rhino crisis and the numbers and what is happening, why it's happening, like what to do, how poachers are getting into territories like that, the prices for rhino horns and stuff like that. And it just blew my mind. Like all this information, I like pretty much didn't know anything about it. So all this information just blew my mind.
So
And
I
I
think
obviously
what is the Rhino crisis for people who aren't familiar? I think the first thing you said is like that you went to a sort of sanctuary or reserve the day after one got shot. People are going to say, why would anyone shoot a rhino?
Mhm. Yeah, obviously, like poaching by itself, it's a big problem. So there is a thing called canned hunting, where animals are grown for hunting. So let's say like lions and giraffes, elephants and stuff like that. So they're confined in this like closed territory. People pay a lot of money, like hundreds of thousands, to go in this closed territory to kill an animal, but the animal doesn't have a chance to escape.
Because they're
So
fenced in.
yeah, yeah. So they do it for trophy, and then they get to take the body, whatever, the skull away with them, as as a gift, whatever. Which by itself, I think, is a horrible thing. But with rhinos, this is like a step further. So the whole thing started in Asia. Uh, Actually, well, it was always in their culture. They have this ancient belief that basically rhino horn can cure anything and everything, from just cold to cancer. So you take the rhino horn, you grind it, you mix it with water, you drink it, and then basically a miracle, like you're forever healed, which is complete bullshit. Rhino horn is like made from the same material as our hair or nails. It's made from keratin, so there is absolutely no scientific proof. Like, it's just complete bullshit that it does anything.
It's like a
Uh,
lot of the shops you can go to in Asia. I was in China a few months ago, and
mhm,
you can go into like any number of stores on the street, and they have powdered ingredients of any
mhm,
kind. And I didn't see rhino horn like specifically,
yeah,
but I didn't look either. So
yeah, for sure. I'm sure if that's your goal, you would find it. But also, I know that, it is now so rare. Actually, syndicates in South Africa, they invest their time and efforts in horns than drugs, because rhino horns are more expensive than drugs. So obviously, because it's so precious and so expensive, people just wouldn't keep it on the counter. It's like you have to find people, you have to ask for it, you have to look for it. But if that's what you want, you're gonna, and you have the money to pay, you're definitely gonna find it.
so what's happening is companies, crime syndicates, and stuff in Asia are hiring poachers to come to Africa and get these, or are they hiring locals in Africa to like source it for them?
So it's like a collaboration. Syndicates in Asia and syndicates in South Africa. They work together on this problem, and like government is involved as well, because like according to all the laws, like you cannot take rhino horn out of the country, but somehow it gets out. How does it get out? because there's so much money behind it. There is always like a loophole for that. And then syndicates in South Africa hire poachers. And actually, poachers that do all the work and risk their lives, they get really, really little money for it. But it's still more than, like salaries in South Africa and stuff like that, because poverty is also a very big problem there.
So I assume like one of the means to combat poaching is to make it more affordable to actually save the animals than it is to kill them.
Say that again?
Is one of the means to like combat poaching, is it to make saving the animal more profitable than killing it? Like through ecotourism and things?
Yeah, well, actually, there is like a really, really big debate that if South Africa gonna lose rhino, and like Big Five is one of the reasons why so many tourists are coming to South Africa, because they want to go on a safari and see the Big Five. So Big Five is one of the reasons why so many tourists are coming to South Africa. And people are saying if South Africa going to lose rhino and they're going to lose the Big Five, less tourists going to come to South Africa, which obviously going to have a crazy financial impact on the country itself.
Yeah. And the Big Five is, just to break it down, it's rhinos, giraffes, elephants. What are the other ones?
Okay, Big Five is buffalo.
Water buffalo.
Is a elephant, a rhino, lion, and
Giraffe.
No, not giraffe.
Alligator.
No. Wait. There we are. So Big Five is elephant, buffalo, rhino, lion, and leopard.
Leopard. Okay. So that's what we got twisted. But they're basically the animals, like, you're going to pay a lot of money to go on safari and see.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the deal. So with rhinos, obviously being a key part of that, I mean, it's not like poaching is new, but would you say that efforts to save these animals are fairly recent?
To save rhinos?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like the big conservation focus started about like 5 years ago. And there are a lot of things that has been implemented already. And actually in 2018, the numbers like dramatically increased. And for the last 20 years, they've just been decreasing and decreasing. So like stuff has been done, but still it's not enough. Like we're talking that like 5 years ago, let's say like 2,000 rhinos were shot a year, and now it's like 1,500, So like it's still a difference, but it's not enough because we only have about 20,000 left.
Wow.
So in about 10 years or so, we might not have any rhinos left.
So you would run out, sort of like in the American West, how, you hear these stories of buffalo, just countless herds of buffalo in the 1800s. I mean, we're talking like right after the American Civil War. There are houses that people who listen to the show that live in that are, built the same time that there were endless herds of buffalo running around the Great Plains. And they're pretty much now just spotty populations in reserves. So it can happen. Humans are really, really good at killing off other animals.
Yep. And like for no good reason. I mean, you can't even eat a rhino.
No, it's just so they'll shoot a rhino and take the horn and then leave the rest.
Leave the body to rot, yeah.
So when you arrive at the reserve, this is during your penguin trip, and there's just been a rhino shot. Are people like in shock? Are they in a panic? Are they angry? What's happening?
They're of course angry, but they also, it's like almost expected.
Right.
And
so it's nothing new. It's just the same song, different verse.
Yeah. It's just like it sucks that it happened with them on their resort, but it's nothing new. And they're glad like no one else got injured. It's just one instead of all of them. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So let's fast forward, I guess, about a year, and now you've decided to go down there for a long term and start helping out.
So actually, that was a completely different place. It happened just a normal like safari place, normal safari resort. So when I started to look into it, like how can I help, what difference I can make, like I have the social media, I want to talk about this problem, I want to help somehow, I want to create content for people to know about this problem and stuff like that. I started to look into it, different organizations and stuff like that. And I found an organization that is called Care for Wild. And I got in touch with the company that arranges like all the placements in there. The company is called African Conservation Experience. So because Care for Wild is like super, super busy and their main focus is just caring for rhinos, they're using this other company that is responsible for, let's say, like all donations, fundraising, getting the volunteers in, making sure that everyone has what they need and stuff like that. And they're also doing like all the outreach, education and stuff like that.
So what you did when we talk about you spending a month down there, this is something that anyone with the passion can actually go volunteer and do.
Yes, absolutely. So I was there like a little bit with a different mission because I was filming. So I sort of got a little bit more like behind the scenes experience because I was allowed to like see like the rescue operation, like being there and stuff like that. So regular volunteer does not necessarily get to be there firsthand. They all can watch and see, but I was allowed to actually like be there, part of the team to film it all, which was like an incredible experience. And I felt like I am, making a difference.
So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to put a timestamp right here, and I think we're going to insert the audio of a moment where I saw you rushing to the scene of a baby rhino that's being air vac'd in. We're going to play that audio for the listeners right now.
Oh my god, guys, I cannot believe what is happening. We just received information that there is a baby rhino on the way from Kruger National Park, and we're now all running. There's a line behind me. We're now all running to the helipad to know what happened.
What the hell? Like, what was that? Describe all the emotions, everything that just went on. Because that's as real as it gets.
that was literally one of the like craziest day of my life. Like I never had so many like feelings inside me. So we were just having like a normal day, and we were all about like 7 volunteers. We were like on the car feeding rhinos. So we were just like with the big truck, we were delivering hay to big rhinos, and we were just like watching rhinos, having a good day, talking, nothing crazy. And then one of the staff is receiving a message on the radio, and he's like not really saying anything because there's no time to waste. He's just like, everyone get in the car, we have to go. And like we get on the truck, and he starts driving like really, really fast, and obviously he's not saying anything. And he's like, it's like a pickup truck, so he's inside and we're outside on this pickup part,
And
so
it's
we're
bouncing like dirt roads.
Yes, we're like all holding on for dear life, and we have no idea what is happening. We all look at each other with eyes open. My heart is pounding. I know that something is happening, and I don't know what to do, like what is going on and stuff like that. So we arrive. So yeah, we just got dropped off at the place, and he had to like pick up the stuff, like I don't know exactly what. But as he's leaving the car, he's like, yeah, there's like a baby rhino on the way. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? So I go, I grab my camera, I grab all my stuff, and I'm like, I'm ready. I'm like ready for whatever. And then we get back on the car. I'm telling the guys that like, I want to be there, I want to film it. They're like, yeah, for sure. So we all jump back on the car, and so they have a helipad just like outside of the territory where injured rhinos are coming. And I see this helicopter landing, and everyone is running towards it like crazy. They open the doors, and there's a baby rhino, like really small, just like laying on the floor of the helicopter. And just like I was so shocked, stressed, upset, and excited at the same time. Like my hands were shaking. All the footage that I got was like super shaky. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know, like, what do I even do? Do I film it? Do I help? What can I do? Like my mind was just like super blur. But then obviously, like, seeing how staff behaved and reacted, for them obviously is just another day. They've seen this stuff happening, a few times a week. It's normal. They're collected. They know what they're doing. It's just a normal process. So just watching them being like really calm, even joking about it, they're knowing what they're doing and stuff like that. I also got myself together and I started filming it. And then obviously started asking questions, like interviewing the guys, what's happening. So yeah, just another poaching incident that happened in Kruger National Park.
And they took down a baby rhino.
No, so they took down the baby's mom, and because baby, it was just, baby has a small horn, and sometimes they also kill the babies if they're like just freaking horrible humans.
Yeah.
Even for this little bit of the horn that is left. But sometimes babies run away and they get lost. And yeah, there are different reasons why they don't get them, but that baby got lost, and they found that baby because Kruger National Park is huge. It's really, really large territory, so you don't always find the poaching incident on the same day. So they found the body like 3 or 4 days after that, and they found the baby just going around the dead body of mom just in circles, and
Just
the baby
lost without their mom.
yeah, and baby was really dehydrated because it didn't drink and eat for like a few days. So they had to they had to take the baby and bring it to the rescue center, to the Care for Wild. But now, good news. So the baby was called Benjamin, and now he's doing really, really good. He's now, that happened, in November? So like 4 or 5 months after that, he's doing really, really good.
So is Benjamin going to be released back into the wild?
So the wild is a tricky place. So none of them are getting released back into the Kruger National Park because it is just not safe. It's basically, like going through all this process, rescuing them, putting all this time and effort to save their lives, and then releasing them back into this place where they can get hurt and killed again is just not something that anyone wants to do. So around the rescue center, they have this also really, 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 really big space where they're releasing all the rhinos, and it's semi-wild, I would say. It is protected 24/7, protected with guards, with canine unit, with dogs.
So we're not talking about just there's a fence. I mean, there are like armed patrols.
Yes.
People with machine guns.
Yes.
To protect these animals. What's the rhino's like place in the wild? Take humans out of the equation. What does the rhino do, like, for the ecosystem, for nature?
Very, very important. So they're mega herbivores, and they're very important for ecosystems. So like elephants, they're grazing animals, but because of how their mouth is structured, they are able to sort of like eat different type of grass. So let's say if we have like gazelles, antelopes like kudus and stuff like that, their mouth is structured differently. So they eat like longer grass, and rhinos are able to eat like really, really short grass, which makes grass grow faster, and it makes it grow faster for other animals like antelopes, gazelles, and stuff like that. And also with their big bodies, they're going through bushes, they take the trees down, which also allows trees to fall and allows more food for other herbivores.
So
They're
are they
very,
able
very,
to still like accomplish most of this without the horn that they have?
yeah. I mean, horn is mainly for sexual selection.
Right.
So like,
Naturally.
yeah. So the bigger the horn is, the more chances they have to mate and stuff like that. They can function absolutely fine without it. And I guess now they probably gonna evolve because like most of the rhinos right now are dehorned, and at Care for Wild as well. They probably gonna just evolve like to be fine without the horn, you know?
Right. Right. One thing I wanted to ask you about, because I think the mental image I have of rhinos, and just for like full clarity, I haven't been to Africa. I've been a lot of places, but Africa hasn't been there yet. But the image I have of a rhino is like this sort of solitary animal in the grasslands, kind of stamping around and eating and charging and doing its thing. But when I look on your Instagram, I see like herds of them. Like they're all they look to be very social. So are they naturally social, or are they just social because you have a bunch of them in this rescue center?
So there are two types of rhinos, black and white. So black rhinos are more solitary, and white rhinos are, they live in herds, in groups. And yeah, they're pretty happy together. They're very cheerful animals. They play in mud. They run around when it's raining. They they fight sometimes. They're very aggressive. You should never try to approach a wild rhino on a safari or whatsoever, no matter how friendly it might look, because it will kill you. There's like absolutely no doubt.
So is that because
And
they're territorial, or like what that's just how they're
yeah,
programmed?
yeah. Yeah, like you just don't, to any wild animal, you just don't come near them because they will protect themselves because they don't know you. And why are you coming? Like, why would you even come?
Yeah, well, kind of like as a person, like in a city, if some weirdo walks up to you and
Yeah,
gets in your,
exactly.
you're like, what? You might not like throw a punch at him, but you're gonna be very, very cautious, and if you need to, you're gonna defend yourself.
Yeah,
You don't know
for
their
sure.
intent. Um, so are the rhinos at the center? They interact a little bit with humans, I guess. Well, did you find that they have like individual personalities?
Um, yes, they definitely have different personalities, and I mean, it's really hard if you spend there, just a few weeks. They obviously all sort of like look alike, and you can only differ them by sort of like visual injuries or differences in size and stuff like that. But the more time you spend with them, the more you get to see their actual personality,
Hmm.
if they're shy, if they're more open to like exploring and stuff like that, if they're more like group animals or they prefer to be by themselves. Yeah, and that you all learn there just like by watching them and stuff like that. And after, I would say like I spent 2 weeks, for me, they were just rhinos, just like a group of rhinos. And when we were doing the feeding, so we had like a member of the staff who would like point out the animal to you, and then that's how you know its name, and that's
Hmm.
how you know what to give this animal. But after like, I'd say like 2.5 weeks, yeah, I started to differ them myself, and yeah, I could see like how they're different in their personalities, which is like really amazing. But that actually happens with all the animals.
like like all the animals you've interacted with. So let's talk some about Benjamin, because I think his case is really extraordinary. Like at least from your experience, I mean, it's like a once in a lifetime thing for you, but it's sadly pretty much a weekly happening in Africa. Um, what did you learn from the Benjamin experience, and did you have any other experiences that stand out with other rhinos while you were there?
Well, Benjamin was like a true fighter. Usually, obviously, like the process, like imagine like losing your mom, seeing your mom being shot, even though like we might argue that animals don't really comprehend things like we do, but still, like, it happens on while this animal was there,
Yeah.
while it was next to the mom. So
So
like you
it
can,
sees the people coming and like taking the
yeah,
horn and
yeah. So you can only imagine what sort of stress and distrust this animal now has. So being able to trust humans again, like, it takes incredible um, effort for that animal. And that's why if you watch the video, you would see that all rhinos are coming with their ears and eyes closed. It's basically done to protect them from more stress, from seeing humans again. And after that, after like some time, you start offering like a milk bottle. So without seeing humans, the rhino would sense that, oh, there's food, so the rhino would first get used to the food, and then you open the eyes, and the rhino would be like, oh, those humans are giving me food, so there's nothing to worry about, and stuff like that.
wow.
And the process for Benjamin was actually really fast. He accepted his first milk bottle the same night, which is really, really quick. And then he was transported from intense care unit to be reunited with his new group just 2 days after, which is really, really quick for cases like that. Sometimes it can take weeks.
Wow. So he was probably really hungry, but also really persevered through that, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's like the opening scene of Bambi, and everybody says, "Oh, you can't watch it. I can't watch Bambi." And there's a lot of reasons why that movie is not on my like great like must watch list, but I do remember as a kid, like the very first scene, and Bambi's dad gets shot, and you're like, "What in the world?" Like, that's going on all the time out there.
yep. Unfortunately.
So I know that you went on this trip and sort of an expedition, I guess, a volunteer expedition, and you're there a while. But when we talked in Stockholm, you were actually like trying to recruit people to come down with you. Were you able to get some people to go that you knew, or people that maybe follow you on social media that actually like met up because of this?
I was actually recruiting for the trip that I was doing after that. So to Care for Wild, I went by myself,
Mm-hmm.
but I was doing a project that I did by myself that was around plastic pollution. That was also in South Africa. And yeah, I was joined by 6 other volunteers from all over the world, and together we spent a month in Durban, South Africa, cleaning up beaches from plastic, creating content, educating local communities about plastic pollution, going to different schools and kindergartens, and teaching people how to make eco bricks and how to make like things out of plastic waste. But
So
that
you're
was a
actually like
different.
teaching them to make like building materials out of plastic waste.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you gonna do that again this year, or you have like any upcoming trips like that?
I haven't thought about it yet. So basically, it just finished like last month, and it took me like a year of preparation for both of those projects, and it was like really, really huge. So now I'm just like trying to, like, reflect on all of them to see if I'm gonna do it again. What can I do better? What can I do differently? Maybe there's like another thing I want to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't decided yet, but definitely I will definitely do something. I am just not sure what exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it seems like you have a lot to process from the whole experience in Africa. Um, Break down South Africa as a country, like for people who haven't been there, what can they expect if they go?
South Africa is my favorite country. So I, for some reason, had this like weird connection with it even before I went for the first time. I just always thought that, like, I just had this like calling inside of me, which is like really weird. So obviously, like, from seeing pictures, and also like this temptation that is like literally located on the other side of the world from where I am. You can't really go any further than that in Africa. So it was just always like super tempting. And I always wanted to go there, not just like as a tourist, but with like a cause to experience like working and living there. And when I went for the first time in 2018 and I did the project with penguins, I was living in Cape Town. And man, is like literally my favorite place on earth. It literally has everything that I need from a destination. So animals.
Like mountainous? There's animals, there's
Yes,
hiking.
yes. Hiking, like just insane amount of hiking. So I was there for 3 months in just the city of Cape Town. I did not even do like 10% of the hikes that you can do within like 2 hours driving distance. It has ocean, it has surfing, it has incredible marine life. Yeah, all the mountains, just beautiful by itself, but hiking again. Amazing food. People speak English. People are really, really nice. Yeah, and it's pretty cheap.
When
Like
you're like getting around Cape Town, are you like getting a cab, or is there Uber, or you have to like?
there are Ubers, yeah. I rented a car for the time being.
Mhm.
Ubers are super cheap. It is not the safest place on earth, but at the same time, like traveling anywhere, if you're mindful of what you're doing, if you're not hanging around dangerous areas at night, you will be fine. And like you just have to be careful anywhere you go. And a lot of people are saying, oh, like South Africa is so dangerous, like you're gonna die there. No, I don't think so. I think it was totally fine. And it can be also dangerous in London. It depends what you do and where you go.
But that's why you have to carry around a narwhal tusk for defense.
Exactly. If you don't have that, then you should reconsider your
Yeah,
life.
for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, there was unfortunately a I guess a terrorist, but there's guns are pretty sparse over there. So he had knives duct taped to his hands, I think, and
Yeah.
he's on like a bridge in London near like an old part of town with museums and stuff, and the citizens are like, damn this, like, oh, you don't have a gun, like all you have is knives taped to your hands. We're gonna fight your dumb ass. And a guy that was like working nearby ran into a museum and he grabs the tusk of a narwhal, which is like a 5 or 6 foot long like piece of bone, and pointing and starts like pinning this guy to the ground with the narwhal.
It is great. I could not believe. Like at first, I thought it was just a joke. It's crazy.
It's unreal. It's like, of course, it's like a Polish guy. It's just like, I'm sick of this shit. Like, just he holds him down. He's like a national hero. I hope.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I hope you guys like did something for him.
I'm not sure, but I think he was like all over. But actually, when I first heard about it, like people, there were like some jokes and memes about it, but like people were not like joking about it anywhere you go. They were like, like whatever, things happens.
What?
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like that's insane.
Yeah, like that's something that would happen in like Greenland, not the middle of London. So
no.
So let's get back to the rhinos real quick, and just to kind of wrap it up. How are people able to follow what you did there, like as far as Care for Wild goes? And do you think you'll ever go back?
I would love to. I would absolutely love to go back. And I am like on really good terms with all the staff and people who work there. But at the same time, I'm the person who really likes talking about different topics. And I also don't like to come back to places.
Mm-hmm.
Might sound a little bit selfish, but I am like an explorer by nature. So like for me, going back to the same place, it's like, like I've already been there. But in that case, like I would love to come back and like see what they're up to and how they're improving. And I met few volunteers that been there before, and it's like, it's like a thing for them to go there every single year, and they see how much they grow and like the changes that are happening in the rescue center. And I also follow them on social media, and I can see what is happening. The progress and all of that. So
They're
I would love to
at
do that.
Care for Wild on Instagram.
Yes.
What can people do who aren't on the ground in Africa? What can they do to support rhinos? Because this is an iconic species that's really in danger of being extinct.
Well, first of all, don't ever participate in hunting, in any sort of hunting. If you see products that are made from any sort of ivory, you probably wouldn't just come across things made from rhino horn unless you're looking for it. But any sort of ivory is just a horrible thing, and you should know what stands behind it. And a dead animal usually stands behind it. It's not just someone trimmed a little bit of the tusk or horn to make that beautiful item. They probably killed the animal. And of course, any sort of donations directly to the organization Care for Wild, of course, it's amazing. It's really helpful because they need money. It takes about $3,000 to fund one rhino and one caretaker.
Wow.
And that's insane amount of money.
That's a lot, but actually it's not that bad if you think about it, so it must go a long way when it's over there.
I mean, if you think about just one, and they have, I don't know how many they have right now, but then when I was there, they had around 50. So
it adds up, and you guys can, whether you can give in $20 or $50 or, that all adds up. Or even if you can't give anything, you can look for Margarita's videos on social media. You can share them and put a link to Care for Wild.
For sure.
I mean, you never know.
Sure.
Like, we all have friends, quite honestly, who have good hearts and they have the means to help. So
yeah, for sure. Even liking and sharing, engaging with their social media, my social media, if you wish, it all adds up and helps. And even talking to your friends about things like that. Sharing the message verbally, raising awareness. Yeah, it's just something really good to do instead of, talking about, or even not talking. Instead of being on your phones during the dinner, we can all talk about Rhino Crisis and explain it to other people.
Yeah, or anything else. I mean, honestly, sometimes we forget, our generation's pretty bad about that. We're on our phones, we're talking about, for me, it's sports, or maybe could be travel. But do we really talk about the issues in travel that are going on? Yes, I want to go to South Africa. I want to go to Kruger National Park. But are you aware of the real issues? And I think that's something that you bring to the table. That's why I think Margarita is a really good follow for anybody who's to being aware about where they're going, because you really do. You do an awesome job of cutting through the bullshit and actually trying to make a real impact.
I'm going to cough. Oh, Jesus. You're going to enjoy listening to that.
I might leave that one in as your outro.
Yeah, it's going to be at the beginning, so people are going to be like, what the fuck is that? Who is this?
The Get Lost Podcast is a production of Sold Outside, an exploration company. Make sure to follow us on Apple News at Sold Outside, on Instagram at Get Lost Podcast. Till next time, stay lost.